We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Nipakshi Khurana. Coming up, wishing all of you a very happy New Year 2025. And in the next hour, we'll show you how people across the world welcome the New Year and other updates around the globe. But first, up the headlines. India to host Quad Leaders Summit in year 2025. Members renew pledge for free, open and stable Indo-Pacific as the grouping completes 20 years. Europe's Russian gas era comes to an end as Ukraine transit stops. Israel intercepts 2 projectiles fired from central Gaza in the first minutes of the new year. After US French cities under the threat of cyber attacks, fear of digital insecurity looms large. And world welcomes 2025 with fireworks and light shows. India celebrates the occasion with mix of cultural traditions and modern festivities. And on to the details now. South Korean investigators on Wednesday said they would execute an arrest warrant for Yoon Suk-yeol over his declaration of martial law by the deadline on January 6th as the impeached leader's supporters rallied outside his residence. Supporters and opponents of Yoon, who was suspended from office by lawmakers over his attempt to subvert civilian rule last month, have been camped outside the compound where he has been holed up for weeks, fending off investigators' efforts to question him. The Corruption Investigation Office requested the warrant after Yoon failed to report for questioning a third time, but it has been unclear whether they could execute it as the Presidential Security Service have previously refused to comply with search warrants. CIO Chief Oh Dong-woon said Wednesday the warrant would be executed within the deadline, which is on Monday, January 6th. He also warned that anyone trying to block authorities from arresting Yoon could themselves face prosecution. Yoon's powers have been suspended since the opposition-controlled National Assembly voted to impeach him on December 14th. The Constitutional Court is to determine whether to dismiss Yoon as president or reinstate him. And updates on the South Korean plane crash now. Investigators probing a Jeju air crash which killed 179 have retrieved the initial data from one of the Boeing 737-800's black boxes. According to the Deputy Minister for Civil Aviation, Ju Jong-won, the initial extraction has already been completed for the cockpit voice recorder, and experts are still determining the method to extract data from the second black box, the flight data recorder. The South Korean Ministry of Transportation had initiated a formal inquiry to determine the precise cause of the crash. While malfunctioning landing gear is believed to be a major factor, authorities have been exploring other possibilities, such as a potential bird strike causing the mechanical failure. Investigators have been looking into whether technical issues, maintenance errors, or external factors played a role in the tragedy. It was South Korea's worst aviation disaster on home soil. And updates on Israel-Hamas conflict now. On Wednesday, in the first minutes of the new year, 2 projectiles were fired from Gaza. Israel's military said one of which was intercepted while the other landed in an open area. Alert sirens sounded around midnight in the western Negev. The military said it has intercepted several rockets fired from northern Gaza in recent days. Since October, Israeli operations in Gaza have focused on the north, with officials saying their land and air offensive aims to prevent Hamas from regrouping. Well, the Israel Defense Forces have confirmed the killing of Hamas Nukba platoon commander Abd al-Hadi Sabah in a recent drone strike. According to the IDF, Sabah was eliminated in the Khan Yunis area of southern Gaza. The IDF, in a statement, said that Sabah had led the attack on Kibbutz Nir Oz during the October 7, 2023 massacre. The IDF further stated that Sabha also led and advanced numerous terrorist attacks against IDF troops throughout the current war. Earlier, the IDF reported that its units working with Israel's General Security Service, Shin Bet, eliminated 14 Hamas terrorists, 6 of whom had participated in the October 7th massacre. And Syria's newly appointed Foreign Minister Assad Hassan al-Shiban said on Tuesday that he received a phone call from his Egyptian counterpart, Badr Abdelati. Both the leaders discussed the importance of Damascus and Cairo in bringing peace to the region. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Abdelati stressed his country's support for the Syrian people and its legitimate aspirations. He called on all parties to preserve Syria's national institutions, its unity and sovereignty. Egypt's top diplomat also emphasized the importance that the political process adopts an inclusive approach for all Syrian national parties, reflecting the societal, religious, sectarian and ethnic diversity within Syria. Both ministers agreed to stay in contact. And moving on, the internet sites of several French cities in at least one department were inaccessible. The attacks were claimed on X by a hackers group calling themselves No Name, a collective already known for other attacks and for defending Russian points of view. The mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, confirmed on X that the city's website had been targeted. According to cyber experts, the goal appears to be propaganda by creating an impression of a climate of digital insecurity. Later, Paris prosecutors opened an investigation into the matter, saying that a total of 23 sites were targeted. Well, the U.S. Treasury Department has also suffered a major cyber attack, with U.S. lawmakers accusing Chinese state-sponsored hackers of stealing sensitive documents. The breach has heightened concerns over escalating cyber threats. However, Beijing has denied the allegations, calling them groundless and politically motivated.
The U.S. Treasury Department has been hit by a major cyber attack. The lawmakers alleging that Chinese state-sponsored hackers were behind the breach. The hackers reportedly stole sensitive documents, prompting concerns about escalating cyber threats. Beijing, however, has dismissed the accusations as politically motivated.
We have repeatedly stated our position on such groundless allegations which lack evidence. China has always opposed all forms of hacker attacks, and we are even more opposed to spreading false information against China for political purposes.
The latest breach of the U.S. Treasury Department's systems has once again turned the spotlight on Chinese state-sponsored cyber activity. In March 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted 7 hackers linked to the Chinese government for targeting critics of China, U.S. businesses and politicians. In May 2024, Britain's Ministry of Defense fell victim to a Chinese cyber attack, which compromised sensitive data on its military personnel, excluding special forces. In February 2024, Chinese spies were found to have installed malware in a Dutch military network, an operation that began in 2023. Back in August 2023, Chinese hackers infiltrated the personal and political emails of a U.S. congressman from Nebraska. In May 2023, Guam's U.S. communications network was breached, with hackers using legitimate credentials to evade detection. And in December 2022, hackers stole at least $20 million in COVID-19 relief funds from the U.S., including SBA loans and unemployment benefits. The latest Treasury Department breach adds to a long list of alleged cyber attacks attributed to Chinese state-backed actors. As tensions rise, the focus now shifts to strengthening global cybersecurity and holding perpetrators accountable. Amish Mahajan's report, DD India.
Well, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on Tuesday vowed that his country would use 2025 to fight for an end of the three-year-long conflict with Russia by any means necessary. In a late-night address, the Ukrainian president said that no one would give peace to his country as a gift, but he believed the United States would stand alongside Kyiv as it fights to stop the 34-month-long conflict.
Дорогі українці, дорогі українки, нехай
Dear Ukrainians, may 2025 be our year, the year of Ukraine. We know that peace will not be given to us as a gift, but we will do everything to stop Russia and end the war. This is what each of us wishes for. Ukraine is not alone. We have our friends with us. Since the first minutes of this war, America has stood with Ukraine. I believe that America will also stand with Ukraine in the first minutes of peace.
і я вірю.
Well, the United States Treasury on Tuesday imposed new sanctions on Iranian and Russian entities accused of attempting to influence the U.S. 2024 presidential election. The entities are accused of using artificial intelligence to spread false information in an attempt to influence the U.S. elections. The U.S. Treasury, in an official statement, announced that it was imposing sanctions on both subsidiary of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and an affiliate of Russia's military intelligence agency over their efforts to stoke social political tensions and influence the U.S. electorate during the 2024 election. The Treasury also alleged that the Russian entity used AI tools to quickly create disinformation that would be distributed across a massive network of fake news websites and produced baseless accusations about a 2024 vice presidential candidate. The sanctions targeted minor entities, which are unlikely to have major economic effects on both the countries. However, these sanctions mark another step backward in the already deteriorating relationship between Russia and Iran. And still to come, DD India News Hour. A major power outage plunged much of Puerto Rico into darkness on New Year's Eve. Why? We'll tell you ahead. Zimbabwe officially abolished death penalty. And Trump to attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Where innovation meets resilience. Tune in to discover how India is leading the way in cyclone preparedness and response, pioneering cyclone solutions, saving lives and protecting communities. Watch DD India's exclusive insight on cutting-edge cyclone management techniques. Join us as we explore India's revolutionary approach to tackling cyclones head-on. The 1st of January 2025 at 6:30 p.m. IST or 12 p.m. GMT on Wednesday, only on DD India.
The delicate balance between human and animal coexistence has become a growing problem. Finding sustainable ways to coexisting together and thriving in a rapidly changing environment.
Tell them not to panic. Instead, they should just stand completely still and let the lions walk past peacefully. This is how we show respect to the animal and in turn gain its trust.
After the plantation of lemon trees, the elephants stopped entering the fields. They pass by the field boundaries without entering.
Poaching gangs and trafficking gangs that go after these elephants and capture them, things like that. And that's something that we are all up against.
We should try to modify the human behavior through education and awareness.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran, and moving on, Russian gas supplies to Europe via Ukraine stopped at 12 midnight on New Year when a 5-year deal between Ukraine's gas transit operator Naftogaz and Russia's Gazprom expired. Ukraine has been allowing Russia to pipe gas to Europe via its territory under a 5-year deal signed in 2019, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has recently ruled out extending it as Russia-Ukraine conflict approaches the end of a third year. The halt in Russian gas transit through Ukraine will see countries dip deeper into their reserves and seek to import more liquefied natural gas. Most other Russian gas routes to Europe are shut, including Yamal Europe via Belarus and Nord Stream under the Baltic that was blown up in 2022. The only other operational Russian gas pipeline routes to Europe are the Blue Stream and Turk Stream to Turkey under the Black Sea. Well, the Russian gas accounted for less than 10% of the European Union's gas imports in 2023. But some EU members still depend largely on Russian gas for geographical and political reasons. EU and NATO members Hungary and Slovakia have maintained close ties with the Kremlin despite the conflict. Well, the stoppage of transit of gas through Ukraine at the end of a 5-year agreement between Ukraine and Russia is a pivotal moment for Europe, which has worked to cut its reliance on Russian energy since the start of the Ukraine-Russia conflict in 2022. While the immediate economic impact is minimal, its geopolitical consequences could exacerbate divisions within the European Union, testing the bloc's unity in its support for Ukraine. Jessica Taneja reports for more from New Delhi on this.
Gazprom's final scheduled delivery through Ukraine on Tuesday marks the end of a transit system that had persisted despite nearly 3 years of war. Once a cornerstone of Europe's energy infrastructure, the transit route has dwindled in importance, with Russia's share of EU gas supplies plummeting from 40% pre-war to just 8% in 2023. Alternative sources from the US, Qatar and Norway have largely compensated for the shortfall. However, the cessation of Russian gas flows from Ukraine raises broader questions about the EU's cohesion. Countries like Hungary and Slovakia, which continue to rely on Russia gas via other routes such as the Turk Stream, are seen as undermining the EU's collective push to eliminate Russia energy dependence. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Slovakia of engaging in shadow agreements with Russia, highlighting tensions among neighboring states. Meanwhile, Slovakia's threats to cut power supplies to Ukraine have further strained relations. The European Commission has so far avoided direct involvement in brokering a new transit deal, instead emphasizing the bloc's success in diversifying its energy sources and maintaining high storage levels. Yet, this hands-off approach may leave room for discord to grow among member states. The economic implications of the halted transit are relatively limited compared to the geopolitical stakes. Gazprom will lose an estimated $5 billion in annual gas sales to Europe through Ukraine, while Kyiv will forfeit around $800 million in transit fees. These figures pale in comparison to the broader financial and strategic losses Russia has endured, including Gazprom's $7 billion loss in 2023, which was its first since 1999. For Ukraine, the end of the transit deal presents both risk and opportunity. Zelensky has signaled his unwillingness to allow Russian gas to transit through Ukrainian pipelines, emphasizing the importance of cutting financial flows that could fund Moscow's war efforts. However, halting transit could expose Ukraine's vast pipeline infrastructure to Russia's missile strikes, further jeopardizing the country's energy security during winter. For Europe, the Russian gas halt is unlikely to cause a repeat of the 2022 price spikes, given reduced reliance and sufficient reserves. But rising gas prices, which are now up 48% this year, continue to strain households and industries. As the region adjusts to the end of the Russia-Ukraine gas transit era, the challenge lies not only in maintaining energy stability, but also in preserving the unity that has defined Europe's response to Russian aggression. The cessation of transit flows may be a small step economically, but its impact on the EU's geopolitical cohesion could be profound. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
And DD India's Anil Thomas joins us for more on this. Well, Anil, can we say it's a complete loss of Russia's hold over the European gas market? What's the latest you have on this?
Well, good morning, Lepakshi. New Year greetings to you and to all the viewers of DD India. Well, let's understand this from a global perspective. The need or the global gas that's produced worldwide, that's close to 500 billion cubic meters, and Russia supplies close to 15 billion meters billion cubic meters of that of gas to Europe in particular. Having said that, if you look at the numbers and purely in terms of how mathematics has played out in the last 2 years since this Russia-Ukraine war has begun, Russia had close to 16 billion in 2023 when it, purely looking at trade between EU and Russia, close to 16 billion was the trade that Russia managed, which has come down to 1 billion in the last 1 year. So that clearly indicates the over-dependence on Russia has slowly been negated as this war has progressed. As we're looking at the war entering into another phase in February this year, it all began in February 21st. So as we're looking, as this war progresses or drags along, there are alternate markets that Russia has, the alternate markets that Ukraine or for that matter European Union have managed to get. They're looking at America, which is providing close to 19% of the imports. Then they're looking at Norway, which provides close to 40%. You've got the North African countries, which provide close to 15%. So Russia's dependency or over-dependency, because that's something that's filled their war chest or that's something that's filled their coffers for long, that's been negated. And I think over the period of time that the conflict has prolonged, EU has managed to get alternate routes, alternate ways, or alternate supply means to meet their energy demands. I think that's where Russia stands to lose more. But from a geopolitical point of view, it could also open the doors for Russia to maybe attack those pipelines and, rather create more trouble there for Ukraine and for the entire European region.
All right. Anil, also as Kyiv has refused to negotiate a new transit deal, what's next for the European gas market? How will this affect the gas supply as this could increase divisions within the European Union itself?
Well, you put it right. Let's understand the three countries that would be majorly affected with it. Austria, Slovenia, along with Hungary. Austria has managed to get its energy sources or its backings or promises from other EU countries. But when it comes to the other two countries that we're talking about, Hungary along with Slovenia, they both have had different approaches to the same problem. One is using an unconventional mean to get over this particular problem, especially using the same gas pipeline. But they are telling Russia that, or they have come with an idea where they want to buy the Russian gas before the gas enters the pipeline. So that their claim with the unconventional idea is that they are owners of the gas because the gas has been brought. They're just using a pipeline for it to reach. That's one way of looking at the problem. There is another way that Hungary has come out with. Hungary is rather used in a confrontation mode, especially with Ukraine, and also with the EU member states, on how it's going to meet its demand. It's been more a confrontational mode. It said that Hungary has time and again objected to the aid that's been provided to Ukraine through the EU bloc. And I think, a mix of both. EU has been assuring time and again the bloc that the energy demands can be met through other means. But the answers are not convincing. See, at the end of the day, the three countries in Eastern Europe that are majorly affected with it, Austria, Slovenia along with Hungary, are all landlocked countries. So there is no other window to get it other than bringing tankers where these gas is filled and these tankers coming to these European countries and meeting their needs. That's something that's could be another option for them to another option for them to choose. But that's going to be far-fetched. The same policy has been applied by France, Belgium, Netherlands, Even for that matter, Germany, getting tankers filled with gas and the tankers supplying to their countries. So that's another option. But at this point of time, the two major countries that have been affected, Slovenia along with Hungary, one is used an unconventional mean, as I said. The other is looked at more a confrontational mode, especially when it comes to tackling this problem.
All right. Also, Anil, our European Commission has also avoided direct involvement into the issue till now. Can this all escalate the conflict between both the countries further as it ends nearly 3 years now?
Well, that could be the very reason why EU is deciding to rather, stay mum on it or silent on it, and rather send its feelers through various other windows that are available for it. One, because if Russia's coffers get empty, thanks to this deal not materializing or moving further, or this deal getting an expansion, if that doesn't happen, Russia seems to be in a catch-22 situation. As I mentioned, the pipelines are very much there. Russia can explore that option and blow it up. Since it's in conflict, they can blow it up. And if that blows up, it could mean trouble for the futures. So even if the war ends, or if there is some kind of, peace or ceasefire that's managed, the geopolitical situation could get out of hand. I think, Russia also would be weighing its options. The way, one of the countries in the EU's, leaders went to meet Putin and had a chat with him, clearly indicates that Russia is also doing some backroom maneuvering when it comes to tackling this particular problem. They also understand that, money through these exports matter a lot to them, especially the tough times that Kremlin is facing. So it's not that, Russia wouldn't look at what's on the table. They have something to lose, and they have consistently, kept losing that particular momentum, especially when it comes to exporting gas to these European countries since the conflict has begun. So it's a catch-22 situation even for Russia and for the EU bloc. And I think there's a tightrope walk that needs to be done, and some sense and sensibility need to come into the two players, because at the end of the day, if there is not a broader consensus and a broader outlook that's been brought to the table, things could get very much out of hand.
All right. Definitely a catch-22 situation there. Thank you so much, Anil, for all those details. And moving on, as the Russia-Ukraine conflict continues, Ukraine's military said on Tuesday that its forces hit a Russian oil depot in the western Smolensk region, setting fire to tanks storing oil products. Ukraine's general staff said the depot was used for military purposes. Smolensk region governor Vasily Anokin said 10 Ukrainian drones were shot down by Russian air defenses, although the wreckage of one of them fell on the oil facility. According to the general staff, there were powerful explosions and thick smoke after the attack on the Smolensk depot. In retaliation, Russia launched an aerial attack on Ukraine on Tuesday, striking the capital and other regions with multiple missiles and drones. Ukraine's Air Force reported a ballistic missile threat, with at least 2 explosions heard in Kyiv minutes later. And a major power outage plunged much of Puerto Rico into darkness on New Year's Eve after a grid failure left nearly all of the island without power. According to a statement from energy distribution company Luma Energy, around 90% of 1.47 million clients across the island were left in the dark. Luma said that it will likely take 24 to 48 hours to turn on lights back. It added that preliminary findings pointing to a fault in an underground cable as the cause of the outage, although the situation remained under investigation. Puerto Rico has long dealt with chronic power outages as its infrastructure crumbles. It was hit hard by Hurricane Maria, a Category 4 storm, in 2017. And Zimbabwe officially abolished the death penalty on Tuesday after President Emmerson Mnangagwa signed into law an act that will commute to jail time the sentences of about 60 prisoners on death row. The Death Penalty Abolition Act, published in Government Gazette on Tuesday, says a court can no longer deliver a sentence of capital punishment for any offence, and any existing death sentences would need to be commuted to jail time. However, one provision says the suspension of the death penalty may be lifted during a state of emergency. There has been a moratorium on executions in the southern African country since 2005. All the courts have continued to hand down the death sentence for crimes including murder, treason and terrorism. 24 countries across sub-Saharan Africa have abolished the death penalty for all crimes, while 2 additional countries have abolished it for ordinary crimes only. And now we take you live to New York, where the new year is just about to begin. All right, and moving on, tributes pour in for former U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Dear friends of Jimmy Carter are sharing their sincere gratitude for the impact he had on their lives after the 100-year-old passed away at his home in Georgia on Sunday. During his term, Carter struggled with a bad economy and the Iran hostage crisis, but he brokered a peace deal between Israel and Egypt and later received the Nobel Peace Prize for his mediation efforts and humanitarian work. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump will attend Carter's state funeral on January 9th. Well, now time for a short break.
The year 2024 was marked by some historic elections across the continents, coupled with global unrest. Beat historic third-term win for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with unprecedented mandate, US President-elect Donald Trump making a spectacular comeback. Curtains down for the year 2024. What an year it was.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Quad members renew pledge for working towards free, open and stable Indo-Pacific. India's External Affairs Minister highlights progress and contributions. Europe's Russian gas era comes to an end as Ukraine transit stops. Israel intercepts 2 projectiles fired from central Gaza in the first minutes of the new year. World welcomes 2025 with fireworks and light shows. India ushers a new year amid nail-biting cold. And moving on, reaffirming commitment to addressing the region's needs together, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, along with his Australian, Japanese and US counterparts, issued a joint statement commemorating the 20th anniversary of Quad cooperation. The joint statement mentioned Quad nations contributing over 40,000 emergency responders worked together to provide critical relief. They emphasized that their commitment to humanitarian assistance remains strong, continuing efforts to address natural disasters and humanitarian crises. On this occasion, they reaffirmed the grouping's steadfast commitment to work towards a free, open and peaceful Indo-Pacific. As 4 partners, they also reaffirmed their unwavering support for ASEAN's centrality and unity, as well as mainstreaming and implementation of the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. They said in a statement that the group respects Pacific-led regional architecture, foremost the Pacific Islands Forum, and is steadfast in support for the Indian Ocean Rim Association, the region's premier organization. And this year, India will host the Quad Leaders Summit as the grouping has already completed its 20 years. While the dates of the summit will be announced sometimes later, Quad partners comprising India, Australia, Japan and the United States commemorated its 20th anniversary, tracing its origins to the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. Last Quad Leaders Summit took place on September 21st, 2024, hosted by the US President Joseph R. Biden in Wilmington, Delaware. Well, initially formed for disaster relief, the group has since evolved into a significant strategic alliance focused on a free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The overall messaging is that the four countries, all democratic polities, pluralistic societies and market economies are working together for a rules-based order and for global good. That by itself is a powerful stabilizing factor in an uncertain and volatile world. While Quad has many initiatives that are creating impressions, there are some major achievements of the grouping, showcasing the four democracies' commitment for holistic peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Well, the Quad has enhanced cooperation in disaster response and relief efforts, including search and rescue operations and humanitarian assistance. The Quad has also strengthened cooperation in counter-terrorism efforts, including sharing intelligence and best practices to combat terrorism. The Quad has established a cybersecurity working group to enhance cooperation in cybersecurity, including the development of shared cyber standards and guidelines. The Quad has also initiated cooperation in space exploration and development, including the sharing of satellite data and cooperation in space-related research and development. Well, the Quad has also launched initiatives to promote infrastructure development in the Indo-Pacific region, and the Quad has enhanced cooperation in energy security. The Quad has also initiated cooperation in education and research, including the development of joint research programs and the promotion of student exchanges. The Quad Fellowship is an initiative of the governments of Australia, India, Japan and the United States, announced by the Quad partners on September 24, 2021. This first-of-its-kind scholarship program is designed to build ties among the next generation of scientists and technologists. Well, these achievements demonstrate Quad's commitment to promoting peace, stability and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. And moving on, several northern states in India are reeling under a cold wave with snowfall continuing in the hill regions. Delhi continues to shiver after a sharp drop in night temperatures. Indian Meteorological Department predicts the temperatures to remain constant in the western Himalayan regions. However, they are expected to drop by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius in the central and east Indian states. More snowfall is expected in parts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh in the coming 3 days. IMD has also issued warnings for ground frost in northeast Indian states and Himachal Pradesh. Dense fog conditions will remain for the next couple of days, but are expected to get better from the 3rd of January. And for more on this, we have Shabir Dar joining us from Srinagar. Well, Shabir, how are the weather conditions there right now?
Yeah, the cold wave conditions have intensified in Kashmir, and across Jammu and Kashmir, and the weather department is predicting, moderate to heavy snowfall in the week ahead. From today onwards, the Met department is predicting that 2 western disturbances will hit Jammu and Kashmir, which will bring moderate rain and light to heavy snowfall in parts of Jammu and Kashmir. We're already witnessing, the intensified wave, cold wave condition with Srinagar recording -4 degrees centigrade last night, and the peripheries, including Pahalgam and Gulmarg, recording up to -11 degrees centigrade. So obviously, a harsh winter, and we are already, passing through the harshest period called the Chalai Kalan, which is the 40-day horses period, which will last till January 31st. So this year the winter is bounty, the snowfall is huge. In the previous week we received heavy snowfall, which obviously is a boon for the agriculture and the horticulture. Plus the locals and tourists both are enjoying the white carpet in Kashmir.
All right, Shabir, as you said, New Year's ringed in, and how is the influx of the tourists there, and how is all being managed amidst such severe cold conditions?
Kashmir received a lot of tourists, both domestic and foreign, from last week when the Christmas was here, and yesterday when the New Year celebrations did happen in tourist places like Gulmarg and Pahalgam. A lot of tourists have already there. The hoteliers have bookings, pre-planned bookings. There is ample infrastructure available to cater to tourist demands like heating arrangements, and authorities are taking every effort to ensure that travelers and transporters don't face any difficulty reaching to these tourist destinations. So advisories are there. Traffic department and the traffic police are managing these highways which lead to these destinations where tourists and locals are enjoying New Year.
All right, thank you so much, Shabir, for all those details from there. And New Year celebrations in India are a colourful blend of local traditions, cultural practices and modern-day festivities, making the occasion a vibrant and diverse celebration across the country. Let us take a look at how the country marked this special occasion in different regions.
India welcomed the year 2025 with celebrations across the country as people in various cities marked the occasion with joy and enthusiasm. Large crowds of devotees gathered at temples and ghats, marked by the blowing of conch shells and clanging of puja bells, to welcome 2025 with great fervour and joy. In Puri, devotees flocked to the Sri Jagannath temple and Puri beach to usher in the new year with hope and enthusiasm. A massive turnout was also witnessed at Sri Venkateshwara Swami temple in southern state of Andhra Pradesh, where devotees gathered to offer prayers and mark the beginning of the new year. Meanwhile, a large number of devotees also attended the Bhasma Aarti of Sri Mahakaleshwar Jyotirling temple in central state of Madhya Pradesh. On the other hand, various parties, cultural events, live music performances and themed decorations were also organized across the nation to welcome the new year. In Mumbai, beaches like Juhu, Chowpatty and Versova were packed with revelers. People also gathered at Marine Drive to watch the fireworks. In Himachal Pradesh's Manali, a popular tourist destination, crowds danced and cheered in the streets. Whereas huge crowds also gathered in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu to welcome the new year 2025 with dance and music. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, as the world steps into 2025, India's President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings and wishes to countrymen for a prosperous year ahead. President Murmu extended her heartfelt greetings for the new year and wished for 2025 with joy, harmony and prosperity for all. President Murmu, in a message on social media platform, also called for creating a brighter, more inclusive and sustainable future for India as well as the world. Taking to X, Prime Minister Modi emphasized the importance of new opportunities, personal growth and collective well-being as the guiding principles for the year. And for more on the New Year celebrations, we have Deepika Meheto joining us from New Delhi. Well, Deepika, though the temperatures have considerably dropped, people celebrated the New Year with great fervour. Give us the highlights of the celebrations across India.
Good morning, Lipakshi. Wishing you and the entire team a very, very happy New Year, first of all. We are right now in the central part of New Delhi, and there you can see behind me the decorations which are there in the market, because the market associations are all set and welcoming all the people here, all the people who really want to come and enjoy their personal time with their family members on the 1st of January in the early hours of the morning. It is almost 10:30 a.m. according to local Indian Standard Time, and we can see the restaurants which are already full because the loved ones want to enjoy the breakfast together or have lunches together, and for that the markets are also decked beautifully. There are decorations which are still going on in the entire market, and as you can get a sense from the decoration which is there behind me, all the markets here similarly across New Delhi are celebrating the new year with great fervor. It is not only the temples which are kicking off with a great number of devotees which are reaching in large numbers to the temples, but also in the markets where people are reaching in large numbers. Despite considering the fact that this is a working day, people are ensuring that they begin their day with their loved ones. And also, if you talk about other aspects, it is not only the personal love that people share with each other, the personal bond, but people who are going to their offices, making sure that they begin their day with the constructive work, with productive output. And there we heard that a cabinet meeting would also be taking place, so that all the important considerations can be taken on the 1st of January itself. So overall, it is the day people are gearing up to begin the day with great fervor, with productivity in hand, and to ensure that they are spending day one of 2025, they want to spend the entire year in a similar fashion, celebrating health, celebrating happiness, and celebrating great work as well. Lipakshi.
All right, Deepika, thank you so much for all those details. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
The year 2024 was marked by some historic elections across the continents, coupled with global unrest. Beat historic third-term win for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with unprecedented mandate, US President-elect Donald Trump making a spectacular comeback. Curtains down for the year 2024. What an year it was.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. On to some business news now. The output of India's 8 core sector industries rose 4.3% year-on-year in November due to a robust growth in cement and steel production during the month. The November figures reflect an acceleration compared to the revised figure of a corresponding 3.7% growth in infrastructure output for October. Cement production surged by a robust 13% in November, while steel output grew 4.8%, slightly lower than the revised 5.2% increase the previous month. Electricity generation increased by 3.8%, improving from a revised 2% growth in October. Fertilizer production rose by 2%, a notable improvement from the 0.4% increase in October. The 8 core industries comprise 40.27% of the weight of items included in the index of industrial production and are a good pointer to the overall industrial growth rate for the month. And oil prices fell around 3% in 2024, slipping for a second straight year as the post-pandemic demand recovery stalled, China's economy struggled, and the US and other non-OPEC producers pumped more crude into a well-supplied global market. Brent crude futures on Tuesday, the last trading day of the year, settled up 65 cents to $74.64 a barrel. US West Texas Intermediate crude settled up 73 cents to $71.72 a barrel. The Brent benchmarks settled down around 3% from its final 2023 closing price of $77.04, while WTI was roughly flat with last year's final settlement. Oil will likely trade around $70 a barrel in 2025 on weak Chinese demand and rising global supplies, offsetting OPEC plus led efforts to shore up the market. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. In chess, a reigning World Blitz champion Norway's Magnus Carlsen shared the 2024 World Blitz Championship title with Russia's Ian Nepomuceno in New York on Wednesday. This is the first chess world championship title that has ever been shared after the final ended in a tie. The decision came after 3 sudden death games failed to produce a winner. The final was a repeat of the 2021 Classical World Championship match where Nepomuceno had lost the match to Carlsen. This is Carlsen's 8th Blitz title and 18th major championship triumph after having won 5 Classical World Championships and as many Rapid World Championships ahead of this shared win. And India's lone hope in the knockouts are Vaishali lost the semi-finals of the World Blitz Championship. Vaishali suffered 2 straight losses to go down against China's Yu Wenjun 0.5, 2.5. Vaishali in the quarter-final against China's Zhu Jaina but turned around quickly to win the matchup 2.5, 1.5 after 4 games. Vaishali was the lone Indian to qualify for the second stage after newly crowned World Rapid Champion Koneru Humpy missed out on the top 8, finishing in the 9th place. And double Olympic champion long-distance runner Beatrice Chebet crowned a golden as she smashed the women's 5,000-meter world record at the Casa dels Nações road race in Barcelona. The 24-year-old Kenyan finished the race in 13 minutes and 54 seconds to become the first woman to break the 14-minute barrier in the event. Chebet, who won 5,000-meter and 10,000-meter gold at the Paris Olympics earlier this year, beat her previous mark set a year ago to the day in the same race by 19 seconds. And Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic began his season with straight set wins at the Brisbane International on Tuesday. Djokovic tamed local favourites Rinky Hijikata 6-3, 6-3 in what was the top-seeded Serbians' first tour-level singles match since October. The 24-time Grand Slam champion will meet 2-time Australian Open quarter-finalist Gail Monfils in the second round. And Spanish soccer giants Real Madrid held a public practice session to mark the new year in Madrid on Tuesday. Thousands of fans packed the stadium to watch the players during the traditional end-of-the-year event as regular practice sessions happened behind closed doors. Real Madrid ends 2024 in second place in the La Liga standings, 1 point behind rival Atletico Madrid. And on to Hockey India League now. Hyderabad Tufans registered their first win of the league on Tuesday. Hyderabad Tufans defeated Delhi ST Pipers by 4 in the shootout after a 2-2 draw in regulation time at the Birsa Munda Stadium in Rourkela. With this win, Hyderabad Tufans win a bonus point. And in cricket, Australia's head coach Andrew McDonald remained hopeful that pace bowler Mitchell Starc would be available for the 5th and final test against India. McDonald said Starc had a niggle and a decision would be made closer to the match, which begins on 3rd of January in Sydney. The left armour is crucial for Australia if they were to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy since 2014. Starc was in pain on the final day of the 4th test, pinching at his back and grimacing at the start of his spells. Australia have added Sian Abbott and Jane Richardson to their test squad. The hosts lead the 5-match series 2-1. Well, as the clock struck midnight on December 31st, 2024, people across the globe came together to usher in the year 2025 with grand celebrations. Here's a glimpse at how the world welcomed the new year.
3, 2, 1, Happy New Year 2025!
As the world rings in 2025, cities from New York to Paris, Greece to Tokyo and everywhere in between are celebrating the dawn of the new year with fireworks, music and dazzling festivities. Paris kicked off 2025 with massive fireworks on Wednesday, which momentarily engulfed the Arc de Triomphe monument in a fiery display. While Greece's ancient Parthenon temple on the Acropolis had a quiet New Year with limited fireworks and a small drone display to ring in 2025. Whereas Qatar welcomed the New Year with a grand drone and firework display at Lusail Boulevard, drawing hundreds of people late on Tuesday. People gathered at a Christmas market in Damascus to celebrate New Year with fireworks in the early hours of Wednesday. United Arab Emirates welcomed the New Year as fireworks shone over Ras Al Khaimah, while Dubai displayed a stunning fireworks at the world's tallest skyscraper, Burj Khalifa, on Tuesday. Hundreds gathered to watch the nearly 9-minute-long show titled Beyond Dreams, featuring fireworks, lasers and colorful displays on the Burj Khalifa.
3, 2, 1, here we
Thailand rings in 2025 with eco-friendly fireworks crafted from sticky rice, spanning 1,400 meters across the Chao Phraya River in the heart of Bangkok. In Hong Kong, a dramatic firework display was organized over Victoria Harbour to welcome 2025. Hundreds of fireworks lit up the sky as music played throughout the 12-minute spectacle.
Well, let us embrace the possibilities of the new year and let us step into the dawn of 2025 with new hope and vigor. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. All right, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.